Good evening. Weeks after a convicted child killer was temporarily released into a GTA community, there is fresh outrage tonight.
That's because newly obtained documents show it happened again, not once, but twice. CTV's Allison Hurst has been working on this story. And Allison, we now have a clearer picture as to why he's being allowed these unescorted releases from prison.
That's right. We have had a chance now to go through those parole documents to get a little bit of a sense of why he's been released. And he was granted these 3 temporary releases. He's had 1 so far. He has 2 more that he is allowed to use. What we don't know, though, is where the next ones will be or when they'll be used. Convicted killer Darren Scott Ray has 2 more passes for unescorted temporary absences from prison, granted by the Parole Board of Canada. He was approved for 3 and already used 1 in Oshawa.
This is very reckless. This is really a betrayal of public trust. I'm really furious.
The 65-year-old was sentenced to life in prison for the sexual assault and murder of 14-year-old Darren Pippin in March 1986, whose body was found wrapped in a blanket in the garbage room of Ray's apartment building.
I have a son who's near the same age as the victim, and I read the report. I'm absolutely horrified at the crimes that this individual committed.
These mothers, along with Durham Regional Councillor Chris Leahy, are calling on the Ministry of Public Safety to review this parole board decision.
Murderers should not be allowed to run free in our community where our children are playing.
On March 2nd, Durham Regional Police posted this release warning the public high-risk offender Ray had been released on unescorted temporary absence for 72 hours.
Our community shouldn't be a dumping ground for criminals.
According to Ray's parole board decision, the criminal profile report also refers to prior sexual offending behavior against a former partner and a young victim over whom you held a position of trust. However, no charges were laid in relation to these matters. It adds that your history of community supervision has not been without issue, as you have a prior conviction of breach of probation.
It is my strong belief that child murderers should never be allowed out of prison.
The decision goes on to say that the psychologist for your most recent risk assessment in October 2025 concluded that there are no current behavioral or mental health concerns that would preclude unescorted temporary absence eligibility, and that UTAs are the next logical step in a gradual reintegration process from a clinical perspective. Given Ray is still considered a high-risk offender, though, criminal defense lawyer Joseph Newberger says that will impact his temporary release.
He has had a residential facility, which is essentially an extension of correction services. So he's going to be there. There's going to be a curfew. He has to have check-ins. He'll be let out only for specific times for specific tasks.
Leahy is urging everyone to sign his petition demanding the decision be rescinded. According to the parole board decision, Ray has already completed 25 escorted temporary absences. So he has done those all for personal development. And he's also done 1 additional one to a community-based residential facility for administrative reasons. That one was also escorted. There is no mention of when he's going to be using these next 2, as I said earlier, or where he's going to be going. But all 3 have to be used within 12 months. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Allison. And still with the justice system, the Premier outlined a list of things he wants to see changed in order to crack down on crime in Ontario.
But critics say many of the things Doug Ford wants aren't realistic. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris is live tonight with more on what the Premier is calling for. Siobhan.
Well, this all happened as the Premier was talking about expanding jail capacity just outside Ottawa. He wants to give people more tools to protect themselves. The former commissioner of the OPP, though, says this is a recipe for disaster.
It's used by police to keep crowds under control. Its deployment can clear out schools. Now the Premier wants the federal government to allow you to pack pepper spray for self-defense.
Let's say a woman's leaving a job at night and walking home. She needs something to defend herself.
The Trudeau government shut down a similar request from Alberta 5 years ago. Ontario's Association of Chiefs of Police say they weren't consulted on this one.
I think it's a threat to policing and the safety of policing, but the bigger issue is the threat to the public.
Lewis worries about well-intentioned people hurting themselves and putting a weapon
in the hands of a whole pile of people that have no intentions of defending themselves. They just wanted to assault others.
Those who teach women to protect themselves and trust their intuition admit many already carry canisters.
I think it's a good idea Do I think it's a magic wand? No, but honestly, we're taking baby steps.
Pepper spray, just one item on the Premier's wish list for the federal justice minister. When it comes to those arrested for sexual assault,
Why are we not taking DNA samples from them immediately?
the Canadian Civil Liberties Association points out an arrest is not the same as a conviction.
So it is concerning that people who are presumed innocent are going to have their DNA automatically collected.
Frustrated at some accused criminals getting bail, Doug Ford proposes to live stream hearings, part of what he sees as measures to keep judges honest.
We need to create an anonymous regional dashboard to identify bias, promote accountability, and restore public confidence.
Rahim counters bail hearings aren't cloaked in secrecy, but designed not to taint a trial.
If this is going to become a tool to publicly shame certain justices, for example, for making decisions that the Premier does not like, well, that's a very dangerous threat to the rule of law and judicial independence.
We have reached out to the federal justice minister's office. We don't have a firm answer about whether or not he will entertain Ford's proposals. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan and Andrea, back to you.
Thanks, Siobhan. Also tonight, cracks in the road. City crews try to keep up with a growing number of potholes while drivers try to steer away from the damage.
We have more news in a moment, but first, a look at the forecast. There's a live shot of the city. We had mild temperatures earlier today, but things have drastically changed. And there's also concern about the conditions tonight and into tomorrow. Lindsay Morrison has a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Nathan. Yeah, the temperature has dropped more than 10 degrees in the last 6 hours, and we are starting to see some snow push into the GTA. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer here so you can see west end of the GTA into that snow. We've got still a few rain showers around Toronto and Durham region, but embedded within that, we do have some snowflakes, and you'll notice that the temperature is starting to cool even more from west to east. That will continue to happen through the night tonight. We've had strong winds today coming out of the southwest, still gusting close to about 50, 60 kilometers per hour, 70K around Owen Sound. There is a widespread special weather statement in place and also some wind warnings. Snow squall watches also in effect. We expect periods of snow through this evening, followed by flurries overnight tonight. Look at how the temperature is expected to tumble. We'll talk all about what you need to know weather-wise this week coming up in your forecast. But for now, Andrea, over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Well, the winter weather has created issues on roads across the city, with potholes becoming more common than ever.
The city says it's working hard to address the poor road conditions, but some drivers are calling for more action. CTV's Sean Leathon has been speaking with drivers and joins us live with more. Sean.
Well, Nathan and Andrea, it is that time of year. It gets a little bit warm, it gets cold again, and before you know it, there's potholes everywhere. And drivers have to be aware, or they could end up coming here. There's a lot of this right now, thanks to a lot of these potholes popping up across the city, and even kids like young Caden on his e-bike can't escape.
I always have trouble with potholes. I'd be riding, and out of nowhere, there's a boom pothole. I have to change my tires like 3 times.
Now drivers have to be aware.
I worry about my tires, because you really, at night, it's much more tricky.
We have harsh winters. We have tough conditions. This winter in particular was pretty tough.
I mean, hopefully now that there's no snow on the roads, they start filling them up.
Across the city, crews have already filled 54,000 potholes this year, but that's nowhere near what's expected. In 2025, the final tally was close to 250,000. At Cal Tire in Etobicoke, customers are starting to show up with tires that are blown out.
We're seeing a lot of impact damage coming from those potholes, especially because of all the melt and snow and freeze and refreeze that leaves that asphalt really susceptible to those big potholes that you're seeing, the ones you everything goes tight when you drive over.
Flat tires and bent rims are common here in the spring. Tiffany Woodley says there are a few things that drivers can do to protect their cars, like avoiding puddles because they're often potholes in disguise, and making sure tire pressure is correct. So there's a little white and yellow sticker on the inside of your driver's door. You want to make sure your tires are inflated to that pressure. Once a month is generally a good check. And when it comes to changing winter for summer tires, right now it's best to hold off. So they say the temperature the line where you want to cross for temperatures to change your snow tires is when it's consistently above 7 degrees Celsius. And right now, your winter tires might be a little bit better to handle those potholes if you do hit it. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan and Andrea, I'll send it back to you.
All right, good to know. Thank you, Sean. And while the state of Toronto's roads is an inconvenience for some, for others, there's much more at stake.
Some charities working to put food on the table for those in need say their daily deliveries are under strain. CTV's Natalie Johnson explains.
Every single day, this truck on its own is carrying about 12,000 pounds. That's 12,000 meals that are going out to the City of Toronto.
At the Daily Bread Food Bank, there has been a battle to deliver meals to the plates of people in need as their trucks sit in Toronto traffic.
When we talk about congestion, it has a financial cost to the most vulnerable people in the City of Toronto.
So much so that the Daily Bread has had to add 2 massive trucks to its delivery fleet to compensate for time lost in traffic.
This allows us to be able to combat congestion.
The need for more big rigs became clear during the Gardner construction. $500,000 in international relief money from the Church of Latter-day Saints in Utah bought the trucks, but they cost the Daily Bread $300,000 a year to operate, money that would otherwise fund 300,000 meals.
Effectively, you're downloading an additional cost onto the nonprofit sector who can least afford that additional cost.
Meanwhile, other nonprofits dependent on deliveries are facing growing challenges on Toronto's roads. Meals on Wheels drivers navigating logistical roadblocks, including construction, and this year, so much snow. At Meals on Wheels in East York, drivers are relieved that the snow that made some streets and sidewalks impassable for weeks has finally melted.
I had to climb over snowbanks to get into people's houses.
With more than 60 meals to deliver a day, the volunteer drivers made it happen on buried routes, but it wasn't easy.
We have to understand that our volunteers are mostly seniors. They're all retired people. So when they come here, then the snowbank is not cleaned yet by the city, and so they have difficult parking. They have trouble coming out of their car if the place is not cleaned, and then they have to also take the bin to their car. And if the place is not clean, how they can do that? So that's creating access is a huge issue on our behalf.
In the West End, potholes have been the cause for concern for the Food for Now initiative. CTV News recently told the story of a driver who sustained nearly $2,000 in damage to his personal vehicle, a big bill for a volunteer just trying to help the hungry.
It's not being taken care of, especially the major routes, right? I understand, the little streets, okay, but when you're on Lakeshore or on a busy street, you can't just go around.
From pothole problems to snowed-in streets and traffic that ties up critical cargo.
All of it results in slowing down a great city that needs to move faster and faster to keep pace internationally.
Toronto's roads taking a toll on the organizations determined to deliver help to those in need. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
And still with those helping people in need, coming up, a call for action from a GTA food bank who says demand has doubled since the pandemic. We'll have more on what they're looking for in order to keep up with demand. A 30-year-old man is dead after being struck by a vehicle this afternoon on Highway 10 in Caledon. Our CTV News chopper was over the scene north of King Street around 1:15. A transport truck can be seen pulled over at the side of the highway, along with several police vehicles. Investigators say a 30-year-old man from Brampton was rushed to hospital where he died. No other injuries were reported. Roads in the area remain closed as the investigation continues, and anyone with information or dash cam footage is asked to contact the OPP.
Police have arrested one suspect and are searching for another in connection with a stabbing in North York. Police were called to the Keele and Wilson area just after 8 last night for reports of a fight which started on a TTC bus. Police found a man in his 30s with stab wounds. He was taken to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Another man in his 30s was arrested at the scene. Police are searching for a second suspect but have not given a description. They're asking anyone with information to come forward.
2 workers have been rescued after falling into a hole in Milton. Firefighters were called to a waste management site just after 8 a.m. after receiving reports the workers had fallen into a hole. Both men have since been rescued. There's been no word on their injuries. The Ministry of Labor has been notified and an investigation is underway.
Food Banks Mississauga kicked off its spring fundraising campaign as demand for its services remains high. The organization has set a fundraising goal of $800,000. It says twice as many people rely on its programs now compared to the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Food Banks Mississauga says food insecurity is getting worse, with nearly 30% of food bank visitors in the city being employed. That's compared to less than 15% 4 years ago.
Government refuses to take action to address the root causes of poverty and food insecurity. 30% of our food bank visitors are working, and yet a job is not enough to protect people from food insecurity and poverty these days, because there's a $10 an hour gap between minimum wage and what it actually costs a living wage to live here in the GTA. And so as long as minimum wage doesn't cover the actual costs of living, as long as our Ontario Works and our Ontario Disability Support programs don't cover what it actually costs to stay alive, food banks are being forced to fill that gap thanks to the generosity of people like you and me who donate because they don't want their neighbors to go without food.
The spring campaign runs until April 30th.
There are early closures on a stretch of Line 1 for subway riders to be aware of this week. Starting tonight, trains will stop running between St. Clair West and King stations at 11:59 p.m. The nightly closures will last through Thursday. The closures are to accommodate track work in the area. The TTC says shuttle buses will operate and staff will be available to assist customers, and regular service is expected to resume each morning around 6 a.m.
Full service is now in place on the Finch West LRT following a months-long soft launch. Riders no longer have to transfer to shuttle buses after 10 p.m. as service has been extended to 1 a.m. The TTC says trains will arrive every 6.5 minutes during weekday rush hours and every 10 minutes at all other times. The move comes as the city is making changes to traffic signals along the route to allow trains to move through intersections before vehicles making left turns. It's part of an effort to speed up travel times along the route. The Strait of Hormuz, a narrow passage for global energy trade, has become the focal point of escalating war in the Middle East.
President Donald Trump is urging other nations to step in and help secure safe passage of oil tankers. CTV's Heather Wright has more on the conflict.
Smoke billows from an industrial site near the Dubai International Airport, the result of a drone attack earlier today. It's the latest example of Iran's use of asymmetrical warfare, which includes inexpensive drone attacks like this one and leveraging pinch points like the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. is asking its allies to help open the Strait of Hormuz, Iran's foreign minister said today. From our perspective, it's only closed to our enemies and their allies. With oil prices skyrocketing, U.S. President Donald Trump is under pressure to get tanker ships moving. He has called on NATO allies and countries like China to provide military support in order to reopen the strait. It's not our war, we didn't start it, is how Germany's foreign minister responded to the request, the most pointed refusal. Japan, Italy, Australia, and Canada have also said they will not participate.
Canada's not involved in the prosecution of this war, and Canada has no intention of being involved in the prosecution of this war.
I find the request kind of misplaced.
University of Istanbul professor Kıvanç Ulusoy says he's not surprised many countries are turning down requests to help, as the United States never consulted them in the decision to go to war.
The Trump administration did not do almost anything to let's say, to legitimize it, to justify it.
This war is now in its third week, with the death toll in Iran now more than 1,300, according to its health ministry. The death toll in Lebanon also continues to rise as Israel moves more troops into the south in its fight with Hezbollah, which reignited following the killing of Iran's supreme leader. Nearly 900 people have been killed and 2,000 injured in Lebanon since this latest conflict began, with nearly 1 million people displaced.
At this point, there are no peace talks planned between Hezbollah and Israel. And an Iranian official said today they have not requested a ceasefire with the United States and are prepared for what could be a lengthy conflict. Heather Wright, CTV News, Istanbul.
As Heather mentioned, the U.S. president is calling for international help in the critical Strait of Hormuz.
Donald Trump called out NATO to put pressure on them to get involved in the war. CTV's Joy Malvin has more.
3 weeks into the Iran war that President Donald Trump chose to launch, the president demanding NATO nations come to his aid while mocking some of them.
They weren't that enthusiastic. Well, we want to know, do you have any minesweepers? Well, would rather not get involved, sir. I said, for 40 years we're protecting you and you don't want to get involved in something that is very minor?
Not a small ask. The Strait of Hormuz is under attack by Iran. Tankers on fire, choking off 20% of the world's oil supply and sending gas prices soaring. The president wants warships to help escort tankers to keep the oil flowing.
We get less than 1% of our oil from the Strait, and some countries get much more. Japan gets 95%. China gets 90%. Many of the Europeans get quite a bit. They should be jumping to help us because we've helped them for years.
Trump is frustrated, even disappointed at NATO allies, ripping into the UK and France, saying he's in talks with 7 countries, and it would be very bad for the future of NATO if they don't step up.
Among other mistakes Trump made before undertaking this operation was not consulting adequately with our allies. He also didn't prepare the American people and didn't prepare the Congress. And I say all this as an advocate of regime change in Iran.
The president claims the Iranian regime has been, quote, obliterated, and doesn't know if Iran's new supreme leader is alive or dead.
They're saying that he lost his leg, one leg, and he's been hurt very badly. Other people are saying he's dead.
The president has said the war could be over very soon, but he's also warned the U.S. is not ready to end it either until Iran abandons its nuclear ambitions completely. Joy Malbon, CTV News, Washington.
As tensions escalate in the Middle East, Prime Minister Mark Carney met with his British counterpart in London.
The third time they've met in just over a year. CTV's Judy Trin has the latest.
Prime Minister Mark Carney, accompanied by his wife, arrived at 10 Downing Street around 8 this morning. In public remarks, the two leaders reinforced their support for Ukraine at war with Russia for more than 4 years.
Thank you for all your support on Ukraine. It's been invaluable and the courage for it.
It would not have happened without you. It's exactly that type of leadership that the world requires now, which is to put together these coalitions that help address real issues. Now, of course, the number of issues is multiplied.
Those multiplying issues include President Donald Trump demanding NATO allies send naval assets to secure the Strait of Hormuz in exchange for U.S. support on Ukraine. The Prime Minister didn't address Trump's new threat, but in a readout, condemned the Iranian regime's missile and drone attacks on civilian and energy infrastructure. A day earlier in Norway, Carney and NATO's Nordic members expressed hesitation to get involved in a war started by the U.S. and Israel.
We will use any channel we have, any opportunity we have to urge the parties to find a way that will not escalate this war. I think that's what we can say. It is not our war.
After his bilateral with Starmer, Carney visited Buckingham Palace for a face-to-face with King Charles. Last week, Treaty 6 chiefs raised concerns about Alberta's separation with the monarch.
The king is, as our head of state, also always concerned about resiliency, but at the same time, that issue, I think, is more appropriately dealt with between our government and those First Nations.
Carney turns 61 today and will be officially on holidays over the next 6 days in Europe. The Prime Minister's office says he will be in close contact with his staff on critical issues and return to Ottawa on Sunday, March 22nd. Judy Trin, CTV News, London.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, many people are struggling to pay their bills each month, and a new survey finds 1 out of 3 Canadians carry a credit card balance, and almost 50% say they're living paycheck to paycheck. I'll have the details. That story is just ahead.
Well, get out the parkas again. Not only are we in for about 2 centimeters of snow through the evening hours tonight, but it is going to feel close to -20 waking up tomorrow morning. It is a bit of a temperature roller coaster over the next few days here. Classic March, classic entry into spring, and we've got a few rounds of flurries expected over the coming days here. We'll take a full look at your 7-day forecast. For the break, stay with us.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Many Canadians have been feeling the financial squeeze with housing costs, the price of groceries, and now rising gas prices.
A new survey finds that 1 out of 3 people is unable to pay off their credit card bills each month, and almost half say they're living paycheck to paycheck. Here's CTV's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Andrea and Nathan. The survey shows many Canadians are facing a financial strain. With rising costs, some say it's harder to save. They're carrying balances on their credit cards and finding it more difficult to put away money for the future. Credit card interest rates in Canada can be 20 to 24%, but some cards can be as high as 30%. It's wise to pay off your balance every month to avoid interest charges. But a new survey by Vivi Data found 36% of Canadian credit card holders carry a balance and rely on credit cards when they're short of money. And 49% feel they're living paycheck to paycheck.
Grocery shopping is really difficult. It's really hard to get good quality fruits and vegetables and protein at a reasonable price.
I used to be able to stay on top of my bills, have a few bucks in the bank, go on holidays. I can't do that no more. I basically work and go home.
Food prices are crazy, rent is crazy, so I understand why people would be living paycheck to paycheck.
Almost half of Canadians waiting for their next paycheck is concerning.
Now that 49% number, feeling like they're paycheck to paycheck, that's an incredibly high number.
Not paying off your credit card balance each month also makes it harder to get ahead.
They will use a credit card when they can't make something, can't make some payments at the end of a month. And that just becomes, a vicious cycle.
Credit counseling agencies say they're also noticing more people feeling the financial squeeze.
People were stretched before this new war in Iran. The price of food, the price of housing, it's all been really, really expensive. But surprise, now you're paying an extra 16 or 20 cents a liter on gas.
The survey also found 58% said they have less disposable income than before, and 71% say rising costs are reducing how much they can save. Even if money is tight, it's recommended you try to pay more than the minimum monthly payment on your credit card bill each month.
When you only make your minimum monthly payment, it can take decades to pay off even a small balance.
Housing debt, both rents and mortgages, as well as expensive car loans, are also putting added pressure on many Canadians. And you'll also want to make sure you pay your bills on time and keep your credit score and credit rating in good shape. If it takes a hit, it can make you a higher credit risk, meaning you could be denied loans or have to pay higher interest rates. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
So early in the show, Lindsay, it wasn't that I wasn't paying attention to you, but all I saw the number was -17, and I could not compute because we've had +17.
That was the wind chill that I was talking about,
Yes.
not the core temperature, just to clarify. But does it make it feel any better, though?
Nope.
I mean, we want to be beyond this at this point in March.
Why do
don't
we even say a core temperature? Just say the wind chill, because that's just a sad truth.
Whatever you want, Andrea, I will do. So let's talk about wind chills tomorrow. Yes, it's going to feel like -17 overnight tonight and feel close to -20 as many are waking up and heading out the door tomorrow. But that's not all. We've also had some very strong winds today. Here's a look at what it looked like in the Windsor area. Yeah, the trees blowing around with gusts upwards of 90 kilometers per hour in this part of the province. Wind warnings have come to an end here. Environment Canada just moments ago updating the special weather statement for us here in the city of Toronto with the headline, "A sudden return to winter." So that's what you have to prepare for through the night tonight, and that includes strong wind gusts, maybe 2 to 4 centimeters of snow, and because of those strong winds, blowing and drifting snow as well. So if you're going to be out on the roads tonight, just be mindful of this. Winds have been predominantly out of the southwest today. That gave us a nice bump in temperature. Still going to be windy tomorrow, more of a westerly wind, northwest wind in some cases, and then things will finally settle down as we make our way into the day on Wednesday. with these strong winds and cooling temperatures, we've also got snow squall watches in effect. It's a watch right now because the conditions are not actively happening yet. This will be through tonight and into tomorrow afternoon, and it is an orange level alert, so you can expect high impact in some of those traditional snow belt areas. Again, that's tonight and tomorrow. Right now, we've got some snow making its way now through the GTA, and with this, we are expecting, again, about 2 centimeters for this evening, along with blowing and drifting. There's the scope of this system, bringing thunderstorms to the southern United States and heavy snow across northern parts of Ontario. This is how it all plays out. Snow squalls will be part of the story into tomorrow. Another burst of flurries for us Wednesday night, an additional system for Thursday. So there's the 2 centimeters or 3 for tonight. Maybe 4 or 5 centimeters of snow by the time we are finished with this week. And again, this is perhaps the area of concern when it comes to highly localized snow squalls, bringing some communities 20 to even 40 centimeters of snow. So that's what it looks like on the forecast radar. We might get clipped by a few flurries again tomorrow, but for the most part, expect a dry day tomorrow with some sunny breaks. Wednesday, mostly cloudy. We see some flurries into the nighttime hours. And then by Thursday, the temperature should be warm enough again for rain showers instead. But look at the cold air that's coming. It's -1 degree in Windsor. It's +1 in Toronto. It's +10 this hour in the city of Ottawa. We made it to a high of 13 degrees today, but we are dropping to -7 overnight tonight, feeling like -17. And then tomorrow, this is well below seasonal. -4 degrees is quite cold for this time of year. We should be reaching a high of about 5 degrees. That will happen as we make our way Thursday and into Friday, and then into the first official weekend of spring. We welcome the season officially on Friday. That's the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
All right, can't wait. Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, Canadians win big. A look back at some of the impressive hometown highlights from last night's Academy Awards. That's coming up.
Welcome back. A 12-year-old Ontario girl is recovering after receiving a life-saving liver transplant from a complete stranger she found on Facebook.
The CTV's Brent Lale reports Lily Wag and her family are eternally grateful to their donor.
I definitely feel really lucky.
Lily Wag walked out of Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, finishing her stay after receiving a life-saving liver transplant.
It was a whirlwind 24 hours, that's for sure. From saying goodbye to her in the pre-op room to at about 10 a.m. to not getting a chance to see her until midnight in the ICU. It was two nervous parents.
But the surgery went well, and she's got a second chance at life. It's all thanks to 39-year-old Melissa Dearden, who saw the Wag family's cry for help on Facebook.
I'm reading this story, and I'm like, my heart just went out, and I thought, if this was one of my children.
The realtor from Hamilton was a complete stranger, but after realizing she fit all the required criteria, she made the choice to donate.
So I sacrificed 5 days in the hospital, and I sacrificed maybe a week of my life where I was uncomfortable. I wasn't really in pain. I was just, I couldn't do much. All to be able to see a little girl see her 16th birthday and graduate and go on to have a family. I think that, if more people understood and knew about this program, that, maybe we could see more people sign up.
It melts my heart knowing that there's somebody out there that would have risked their life to give our daughter a second chance. So we're forever grateful.
Both Lily and Melissa are on the mend, about halfway to full recovery. Lily is hoping to leave Ronald McDonald House next week and get back to her regular routine in St. Thomas.
Definitely getting back to school. I miss my friends, so that's going to be probably my main one. And baseball, that's for sure.
And she's half the weight she was when she went into surgery. So it's big to see how far she's come in those 4 weeks of getting a new liver and how sick she was to now really kind of how healthy she is to standing here today.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
The Premier says he's standing by his government's decision to end funding for 7 supervised consumption sites, including 2 in Toronto.
I'm passionate about this, by the way. And that's why I approved over 500, more than $500 million I don't want to hurt these people. I want to help them. I want them to be productive. Addiction's terrible. It affects families. And you talk to any family member from an addict, and they're going to say, get them help. And that's exactly what we're doing.
The province says it's initiating a 90-day wind-down period to give the sites time to transition to Heart Hubs, which is the Ford government's abstinence-based model. Ontario Health Minister Sylvia Jones says the government is focused on treatment, recovery, and safer communities. Meanwhile, the Toronto Overdose Prevention Society has described the move as appalling, saying it will lead to more deaths. The Academy Awards celebrate the best in film.
And several Canadians can add their name to the list after winning an Oscar at the 98th Annual Academy Awards last night. From one Canadian, Will Arnett,
and the Oscar goes
to another.
K-pop Demon Hunters.
And to the Oscar stage by way of Sheridan College, Korean-Canadian filmmaker Maggie Kang and her partners took the award for Best Animated Feature Film, K-pop Demon Hunters.
And for those of you who look like me, I'm so sorry that it took us so long to see us in a movie like this. But it is here, and that means that the next generations don't have to go longing. This is for Korea and for Koreans everywhere.
Sheridan College's Mark Jones reminds us Kang wasn't the only Sheridan graduate and Oscar nominee this year.
We also had Domi Shi, who was director of the Pixar film Elio. And so to have two grads from our program nominated in the same year in the Oscars, that is a huge validation. And we're very proud of them, and we think that it speaks a lot to the quality of the program.
Frankenstein's writer, director, producer Guillermo del Toro may have been born in Mexico, but Toronto is his movie-making home.
Tamara Deverell and Shane Gill for Frankenstein.
Shot in Toronto and premiering at the Toronto International Film Festival, it won 3, including production design for Nova Scotians Tamara Deverell and Shane Gill.
We share this with an amazing crew in Toronto and the UK. So many talented hands.
The Girl Who Cried Pearls.
The makers of the animated short film The Girl Who Cried Pearls gave a shout-out to Canada's National Film Board and the place they call home.
Thank you, the fantastic city of Montreal. Thank you, Canada. Canada!
For Matchett Chabosky and Chris Lavis, the shock of winning an Academy Award is still sinking in.
I think it'll take us a week to process.
Yeah.
It was a very intense day.
There's two cliches that are true. One is that the Oscar is heavier than you think. And the second is that you will get no sleep.
It took 5 years to make the 17-minute stop-motion film, so they've earned a rest. I've held one of those. They are heavy. After the break, a one-of-a-kind experience to get up close to your favorite Raptor. Thousands fill Scotiabank Arena, the second annual Fan Day.
Inflation slowed down in February. Stats Canada reports the rate dropped under 2%. BNN Bloomberg Marella Fernandez looks at the numbers.
Inflation for February came in at 1.8%. Part of the reason for that is the tax holiday that started at the end of 2024 carried through to mid-February of 2025. But experts say this could be the calm before the storm. The recent spike in energy prices will work its way into the inflation number for March. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 73.10. West Texas Intermediate is down over $5 to 93.37. Western Canadian Select is up over $2 to 82.19. And the TSX gained back 334 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marella Fernandez.
Housing starts in the country were up last month. The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation says the annual pace of new builds rose 4.5% in February from the month before. Toronto saw starts decline 28% year over year in February, but the agency says higher starts across Ontario to begin the year have made up for the decreases in the city. The CMHC says it expects higher levels of business uncertainty and construction costs to affect housing starts in the near future.
Just under 2 months before the Toronto Tempo are scheduled to tip off for the first time, we're getting an update on the status of labor talks with the WNBA. The league says progress is being made toward getting a new collective bargaining agreement with its players' union. A marathon negotiating session that started Sunday afternoon wrapped up early this morning. Officials say more talks are planned. The key sticking points are revenue sharing and player housing. The league's commissioner says there are a lot of elements to look at, but they're working on getting a deal done as quickly as possible. The clock is ticking, with training camp set to start April 19th and the new season scheduled to begin May 8th.
It was a big day for some Raptor fans who got the chance to kick off their March break by getting up close and personal with the team.
All part of the second annual Raptors Fan Day at Scotiabank Arena. CTV's Corey Baird has the story.
Several thousand basketball fans filled Scotiabank Arena this morning for the Raptors' second annual Fan Day. Fans and players mingled in a variety of on-court activities. Some attempted to replicate their heroes' best moves. No championships were on the line today, although these fans did clutch up and win pizza for the entire house. One of the biggest ovations on a day filled with them.
We're big Raptors fans and we love ball. Yeah. It's not every day you get to see the Raptors just shoot around.
This is cool. This is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
A fun-filled day for everyone in attendance, but let's be honest, there was one man they came to see.
Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes. I came to 5 games to meet you, Scotty Barnes.
And he didn't disappoint.
Today's my birthday.
Talk loud. I'm 5 years old.
I'm 5 years old.
And Scotty Barnes is my...
And Scotty Barnes is my friend.
From start to finish, fans were on their feet. Energy, the Raptors' hope is contagious with the playoffs just around the corner.
It is amazing to see that, 10,000 people showed up today. A lot of kids, a lot of families, and I think it's a very special day for our players, for our organization, but also for the fans.
I mean, a kid just cried right now when I signed his jersey, so, things like that is, cool just to see, kind of the impact. We're out here, we're working hard every day, so, even for us to be able to see how much this really means to everybody is a great feeling.
Corey Baird, CTV News, Toronto.
We're getting a first look at what Team Canada will be wearing when they hit the pitch at the FIFA World Cup this summer. Team Canada member Jonathan Osorio and Richie Laria showed off the home and away kits. The home uniform features a two-tone red jersey with a maple leaf design. The away kit is black with a white cracked ice pattern.
For us to be able to represent our country in a World Cup, which we got the privilege to do in 2022, was amazing. But now this one's even more special, it being at home. And yeah, really, it's an amazing blessing.
Having everyone here, having everyone, no matter where their origins are from. Also, it's Colombian. I'm from Ghana. So it's like, all these people need to come together and put on Canadian jerseys come June 12th for us, because it's going to be special. It's a big moment for our country. I think the hype around it has been very good. And yeah, I think everyone's excited. These kids are excited. I'm excited. Everyone here is excited.
Canada will play its first World Cup game June 12th in Toronto.
Just ahead, a huge assist from the community after a team's hockey equipment was left behind in a baggage mix-up after a flight to Nova Scotia. How the kids were equipped to play. That's coming up. Finally tonight, 3 hockey teams from Newfoundland set to play in Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia, suddenly found themselves without equipment.
As CTV's Paul Hollingsworth reports, that's when the community got the assist.
This arena is known for producing hockey superstars. But it's also home to a massive tournament, 160 hockey teams playing hundreds of games over March break. 3 of those teams from Newfoundland and Labrador landed at the airport over the weekend ready to play. But there was a huge problem.
Went to baggage shed to collect their gear, and unfortunately their gear bags weren't here. Gear bags were left in Newfoundland.
It was a devastating setback. The U11 team from St. John's was prepared to return home right away.
We thought that this trip was going to be one where the kids would be sad and upset we wouldn't be able to play.
Tournament organizers and community members rallied to find a solution.
What do you do when you're a hockey community? You step up and make sure the kids can get on the ice.
They put a call out for gear donations, and the response was overwhelming. Within hours, this room room was packed with everything the players needed.
We probably had gear to outfit 20 to 25 kids. Teams started coming in from Newfoundland around 7:30, and they were able to grab everything they needed in order to outfit their kids.
The three teams were able to play on the ice, but off ice, they were overwhelmed by the support.
A lot of people reached out to offer support, local businesses, individuals that we don't know, and just wanted to help in any way to create a special moment for these kids.
Tournament chair Jeff McPhee says Cole Harbour is a place where neighbors watch out for each other, and people will do anything to support children playing the game they love.
The hockey community coming together and taking care of everybody, just like we always do.
The U11 team from St. John's captured the championship in their division. The head coach calls it a gold medal finish and a heartwarming hockey experience. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia.
You got to love the hockey family always saving the day.
Absolutely. On the ice and off.
Yeah, perfect Canadian story. And we're looking at a nice Canadian evening here in March in Toronto. The snow is flying out there. One more look at the satellite and radar. We'll show you what we're in for as we make our way through the next couple of hours here. Take a look. Snow continuing to fall. And as we take one more look at the special weather statements, there's a look at what you can expect. Strong winds, snow squalls in some areas, and a very cold day on tap for tomorrow. Andrea and Nathan.
Thanks, Lindsay. Well, be sure to join Omar Safdina tonight at 11 for the CTV National News, followed by Raheem Ladani with your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us at CTV News in front of and behind the camera, thanks for watching and have a good night.